Power Hour LSU. Boom!
All night long. Yes.
Let's freaking go! LSU gets it done last night versus Grambling, but tonight I want to start off, does Brian Kelly have what it takes to do exactly what he did last year, okay, which is lose the first game versus Florida State and then actually get momentum going to where LSU ended up winning the SEC freaking West? Could it happen again? Let me know in the live chat, or if you're listening to this on Spotify, iTunes, any podcast platform out there. Obviously, I kind of want to try something new. I kind of want to go live after the Brian Kelly press conference tomorrow just to see how that works out. I might try it. I don't know. Just be on the lookout for that. But, you know, tonight, Sunday's a busy night for me. I first off want to say who dat. Big win for the New Orleans Saints today versus the Titans. But my heart is a little shook that Joe Burrow and the Bengals look so bad. What's interesting is because of the film studies, I'm not able really to watch the NFL. Normally Sunday when I'm done with all my college stuff, I go back and I watch all the games. And I say all the games. I actually just go through the NFL YouTube account and watch as many plays as I possibly can. So obviously, I am in a mixed mood right now because I feel like a lot of you are in the same spot where we saw what Jayden Daniels did last year versus UAB, New Mexico, and Southern, right? He played amazing. He played football from the pocket quite a bit, more so in the UAB and the New Mexico game, and he threw the ball around more like a traditional quarterback. And I think a lot of you are in the spot right now, especially if you watch the film study and you're coming in here right now. Can he play like that versus an actual SEC team? And we've seen him in SEC games make absolutely big throws, in particular the Florida game last year. And the throws were complemented by his running instead of vice versa. But I bring that up because for Brian Kelly to win the SEC West this year, LSU is going to need to outscore a lot of people. And right now, I think a lot of you, including Devin, our first super chatter of the evening, feels as if LSU has no shot to do what they did last year, lose the first game and then find a way to bring it back and win versus SEC West competition and actually win the entire SEC West. Now, something else is I kept getting this comment over and over in the film study earlier. It doesn't count. It was against Grambling when we made that point 1,000 times over. Jayden Daniels was dazzling. He looked absolutely amazing last night. Doesn't change the fact, though, that the level of competition wasn't all that great. And our defense versus that level of competition, even though they did call a very creative game, we just were not where we needed to be defensively, if we're being quite honest. So we say hi to Danny Girl. We say hi to Billy, Hal, Michael, LA Mom, TOV, Skipper. I'm not able to put all your comments up on the screen, but it's good to see you. And as always, we go straight to the super chats. But we're going to get to as many comments, even if they're not super chatted. Always greatly appreciated. And tonight, because Jayden had an absolutely fantastic game, if we get to a hundo tonight, we're going to give out another Jayden Daniels card right here. Okay? Now, first thing. If you want to see the Garrett Nussmeier film breakdown, I did put it on Patreon. Sign up for the Patreon, where I broke down all of Garrett's throws from last night. And if you sign up, you get a Joe Burrow card. How about that? LSU can very much win the West. Every team in the SEC is very flawed up to this point. We kind of touched on this, but obviously on my SEC channel, I went through and watched as many YouTube videos, highlights as I possibly could. And Auburn was in a tough spot. They didn't look great, but they found a way to get it done versus Cal. Alabama looked very putrid offensively, but they're still explosive. Still, they lost. Texas A&M lost. Both of them played very talented teams, but still. And look, you look at Arkansas, they have played by far the easiest schedule in the West up to this point. That's about to change. And, you look at Mississippi State, we'll see. Obviously, next week, it's going to go down. I think the team that should be the most interesting moving forward is Ole Miss, and they do have the major wild card out of any of the SEC teams. Is they are the only ones outside of Auburn that has to play Georgia this year. And what makes them unique is Auburn plays Georgia every year because of their rivalry. So Ole Miss, they have a really good team this year. They did not look good, though, versus a backup quarterback and a really solid Tulane team yesterday. And we'll see. We'll see if Ole Miss can get it done. But yes, Brian Kelly, the SEC West is very much in play. I think what a lot of you fear, though, about the SEC West is that it has more to do with everyone else than it has to do with us. A lot of you still feel some type of way about the passing attack. A lot of you still feel some type of way about the defense. I will say this. While the defense has faded a little bit here, and I say a little bit, they've not had a good game up to this point. What's very interesting, okay, and I really, really want to bring this up, is up to this point, knock on wood, LSU special teams has been very good. It has been very freaking good. So, good to see each and every one of you on a glorious evening. Okay? Now, where is my... Oh, there's my bottom scroll right there. Good stuff. Devin keeping the super chats flowing. Where is the size in the players at? LSU's defensive back is not intimidating like in the past. They are moving slow, playing, ducking slow. I like the autocorrect there. We're friendly. We're family friendly here on PHL. Outside of the pregame show yesterday, playing ducking slow. Defense is trash. Okay. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Where is the size in the players at? Well, I don't think size is an issue. I think everybody that we play is properly SEC size. They're SEC material. It's just we're not playing like it, right? I think Savion Jones is kind of a weird build with what Matt House wants to do, but still, we have enough size and athleticism to get the job done in the front end. Now, in the defensive backfield, Devin, as you're pointing out, we are not intimidating like in the past. Okay. I do want to bring up one thing that has a major effect on the secondaries in college football is quarterbacks can't get hit anymore. They just can't. And because of that, they are more willing to sit in the pocket and make a throw or go out on the run and make a throw because they don't fear getting hit anymore. I've seen this happen so many times, but still, that's just more of a general observation than anything else. The simple truth is we do need to be better. We do need to be better. We are moving slow, playing ducking slow. The defense is trash. Okay? But yeah, defense is not good right now. And Matt House, I think he's lost a lot of goodwill since that Alabama game. And, some of that is justified. So some of that is justified. No pause on the size talk. I don't think that was worthy of a pause. Greg says we do look like a small team. So tell me where you think LSU is small. What position do you think LSU is small? Or are you saying that offensively? Because I don't think anybody on offense is small either. I think we're proper SEC size. I do think so. Perkins is too small for a linebacker. Good to see you, Mick. Let's go to Brian. He says, Robert Steeples and Kerry Cooks haven't been that great in terms of recruiting outside of portal usage. Their coaching could be better as well. All right, so Robert Steeples has a really good cornerback class this next class coming up. So I give him that. All right, Wardell Mack went to Florida. Outside of that, getting Kai Bates and all those guys, Andre Evans, they've done pretty good. This class. Kerry Cooks, so once again, if you are a PHL patron, you do have access to all the grades that I give out on every high school prospect. I'll keep my mouth shut because it is still early, but it looks potentially like we don't have any blue chippers that could play for us right now. It just seems like that. I don't know what the holdup is with Toviano. I was a little shocked that we had the red shirt talk last week, and now we kind of just threw him in at the end of the Grambling game. So if you're going back and forth over red shirt chatter, then why do we play him at the end of a game that is in hand, right? My thing is this. If you play defensive back and you are currently playing for LSU, be ready to play. Be ready to play, okay? You've got a shot. If you have a pulse and you're a defensive back, you deserve a shot. I was a little interested in like the cornerback rotation. Now, I will say I didn't watch the end of the game as closely because I think a lot of you kind of drifted to the Alabama game and the Mississippi State game because those are two opponents coming up and the game just wasn't really all that fun to watch. I do want to bring this up before I forget. I do think Grambling played dirty last night. In particular, one play where a left tackle took the cheapest shot I've ever seen on Mason Smith last night. I've never seen anything like that. Now, I always say this. I'm not a holier than thou kind of guy. Everybody's got their own skeletons and all kinds of closets. But the truth is, the hit that Mason Smith took and he was fine, was the dirtiest thing I've ever seen. And Grambling was hitting late and all kinds of stuff. They were just all over the place. Part of the reason why the game wasn't as close as you would have thought just by using your eyes. But the truth is, I just think we just need to keep trying new people. I think even though he did get beat deep, I think Ashton Stamps deserves a little bit more run. Even though he is given, some poor special teams reps, let's see what LaTerrence Welsh can do. And I don't know what happened to Jordan Allen when they got single digit numbers. I was like, oh, they might be a part of the rotation. They got the Kerry Vincent and the Craig Lawston numbers. Let's see what they can do. But we just haven't really seen any of them play. I guess Matthew Langlois is still hurt. I don't know. But I should be very interested to see what they're going to do. Now, one more defensive note. I did see something relatively bizarre on the LSU sideline, and I'm actually going to reach out and get some confirmation. But still, I'm hoping this LSU defense is ready to go. It does seem right now that they are a little broken. And you do begin to worry if, players are struggling. I don't mind players that are struggling that are still playing within the scheme. Okay. What I fear is players struggling and not believing in the scheme and not doing their assignments and doing their jobs. So we shall see. We shall see. Michael B wants to talk. All right, so LA Mom, here's what I'll do. The single-digit number thing is something that I mostly harp on, but it's true, LA Mom. Go look at any team. Every player wants a single-digit number. I would say 90% of the team would switch their jersey number for a lower-digit number. It's part of the reason why last night it was kind of hard to see some of the ridiculous plays that Deshaun Womack made on special teams. He made 2 absolutely freaking ridiculous plays, and he didn't really get credit for them. Why? Because, well, he was wearing number 92, all right? And the reason why he had to wear number 92 is Chris Hilton started playing more on special teams, and they both share the jersey number 17. So before he had to go out on the field, he had to put on jersey number 92 just to have a different number. His initial number was supposed to be 49, but because so many people want the lowest digit number possible, you give out double numbers for pretty much every number 0 through 19. And LSU's also got the issue that there's only going to be one number 18 on pretty much every team and really no number 7, right? Because Will, and there's not going to be any number 9. So you get a lot of these double numbers. Arkansas, every player on the roster from jersey number 1 to 22 has a double number, okay? But everybody wants a single digit. And Deion Sanders, who is the hottest commodity in the sport, made – and I don't agree with everything on Deion. I don't. He has said some absolutely ridiculous things. And we talked about it some on Thursday night with Pooh Bear, chatting about everything. And we've not only chatted that, we also had a Florida State guest on who played at Florida State. And we also talked about a lot of things that we didn't like about Deion. But the only thing that I will ever 1,000 gazillion% agree with him is the double number thing and the single digit thing. If you are a playmaker, you can wear a single digit number. But if you're not, leave it for someone else because someone else wants it. Somebody else wants that single digit. It's just how it works. It's just how it works. Okay. But yeah, I thought when they got him, I was like, oh hell. We're about to see some dogs out there. They barely played. They have barely played, and I want to see them play. I want to see them get opportunities. If you've done enough to get the upgrade to the number, let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. Tyler says the defense doesn't look united. Blaine was to talk some Shelton Sampson. I'm telling you, I'm giving you a controversial take here. Shelton Sampson had a good game last night. Did he drop passes? Yes. But I'll tell you this. There are a lot of people who can catch passes. There are not a lot of people that can get open. And he got wide open 2 times. Now, I'm not going to give him credit on the RPO drop because the DB just let him go. But the second rep was an absolutely gorgeous route. And it was probably, the play that he made the most of at Catholic High. Going up against press man and making a touchdown down the sideline in the extended red zone. He did that so much at Catholic High. And all he's got to do is finish it. I give Garrett Nussmeier a lot of freaking credit too, because he honestly, you can go to Patreon and see the film for yourself. He played a flawless game. Now, was he playing a tired team? Yes. But he played a flawless game. I'm telling you right now, Shelton Sampson looks really good. Yes, he had ugly drops. But give me a guy who can get open. All right. So yeah, it should be very interesting. I wanted to see a little bit more Kyle Parker last night, but the thing that I always bring up about playing wide receiver at LSU is it is so easy to get buried on the depth chart. It is so freaking easy to get buried there. Easier probably than any other position, especially if LSU is going to continue moving towards more 12 personnel. I thought Connor Galbraith had a really good bounce back game, and it is really, really, really good. All right. So let's go to Carlton. There he is. What's up, Jason? Yeah, I agree. I am very bullish on Terrace Marshall. I said Terrace Marshall. Shelton Sampson. He's very good. He's very good. Let me ask you this. Do you think a wide receiver of his caliber is just going to always drop passes like that? Tell me a wide receiver who has drop issues like he had last night that continued to have those same drop issues throughout their career. Okay? There are very few, right? There are very few. He's also very young, and he was psyched up. He was open. He got open. I'm telling you, don't jump ship yet on Shelton Sampson. He looked good. Okay? He looks like a Division I college football player. What was I supposed to do tonight? I was supposed to do something. I don't remember. Now, next thing, I do want to bring this up as well. I am a huge NFL fan. Huge. But, obviously doing this, I sacrifice being able to, watch the games on Sunday. I always bring that up. So, on Sundays, it is crazy. Obviously, cutting all these film studies. I'm doing some film studies for the SEC channel as well. And I do want to bring up one very interesting thing. When I'm cutting the film study, I want you guys, even though it's busy, I might not be able to take the call and talk forever or take every DM or whatever, but reach out to me, all right? Because I am not able to see everything. Something else I do want to bring up here is if you go to the game, your opinion matters so much to me, all right? It's not necessarily that you're at the game. It is more so you can see the game in a better capacity than anybody watching on TV because you can see the whole field. Now, if you're sitting really low, you can't really. But if you're sitting 20 rows up, it doesn't matter where you're sitting. You have a better sight on everything than anybody watching on TV. So if there is anything that you see at a game, it doesn't even have to be on the field. It can be off the field. Shoot me a message. Let me know what you think about the team. Do you think they're together? Do you think they're locked in? Do you think they're ready to go? What's the crowd like? Tell me those things because I'm not going to be able to go to every game. I'm only going to a few, right? I'm only able to go to a few every year. So let me know. I value all of that. Now, once again, I might not be able to get to your message as quickly as I possibly can, but I'm always in my Discord. Sign up for it in the Patreon. I'm always on social media at Power Hour LSU on every platform, every single one of them. I've signed up for farmersonly.com. I'm on there too. My name is Bubba. Send me a message on You Don't Have to Be Lonely at farmersonly.com. Send me that message, Lucille. Bo Jack's coming in hot. Jason wants to talk some Lance Hurd. I'm down to do that. Lance had a really good game. I only had really one negative rep. Now, I'll say this. A little bias. He's been on the show. I always say, hey, for people that come on the show, we've never had a bad interview. I love everybody that jumps on the show. So I always include that. Number one, because I want you to go listen to the interviews. I think all our interviews with players are great. I think we've interviewed 4-ish current players on the team. Still, Lance is great. He's a great player. He obviously lived up to the hype last night, and he looks pretty good. He moves some people. Now, what do we do now? Because Miles Frazier had a good game. He did. It is amazing what happens when a coach publicly says, hey, you know what? I think we might go in a different direction at this position. Miles Frazier came out like a man possessed, and he played well. Very well. What was I supposed to do tonight? I keep forgetting. I don't know. I guess I'm just dumb. Did you know I got an NIL deal with farmersonly.com? Everybody, welcome Dexter to the channel. Good to see you, Dexter. We're giving out a Jayden Daniels tonight when we hit a hundo. Christian Mingle. Is Christian Mingle a site? I mean, that would just be, Facebook in Mississippi, basically, right? Just any Facebook in the South. Christian Mingle. It's still amazing, like some of the things you'll see people sell on Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, what are we selling today? You'll see a toaster, and the next slide you'll see, yeah, I'm selling my trailer. All of it. You can have the dogs and the tractor too. Now you see everything on Facebook Marketplace. Everything. Yeah, I'm selling my liver. Don't need it. Quit drinking a year ago. Let's continue talking about Lane Third, though, outside of Facebook Marketplace. By the way, we have no Facebook likes for the stream tonight. Please go share it on your personal Facebook page. I don't care if your name is Michael. I don't care if you have a joint Facebook page, which we all know what that means. We do. If you have a joint Facebook page, it means you are in love and trouble. But yeah, I forgot to share it on my own Facebook page. I'm doing that right now. Oh, 337 followers on Facebook now? Let's go. Man, what was it? I keep forgetting they played Grambling last time. I would too, but I would like LSU to win, but the defense has got to be better. Everybody, welcome to the 843 Mud Mafia. Welcome to the channel, Mud Mafia. Carter put on a bolo for Hunter Hall. I don't know who Hunter Hall is. I actually had a classmate named Hunter Hall. I had ribs tonight. Stefan, good to see you. Tell everybody I said hello. So Sammy wants to talk about the West. Let's do it. We did at the beginning, but I do want to share one final thing here that is very relevant if you are an LSU fan, is Georgia is not as good as they were last year. Now, their schedule is way easier than what it was last year, but they're not as good of a football team as they were last year. They're just not. So, if we get in that spot in the SEC championship game, we're in a better spot. I think the big thing, though, is putting together some good performances here versus some of these middle-tier SEC programs that have good coaches, good programs, and something else all of them have are experienced quarterbacks. Okay, so in the next month, LSU will play Will Rogers, KJ Jefferson, Brady Cook, and Jackson Dart. Now, what is really fascinating about that hodgepodge of quarterbacks is Will Rogers is the only one of them that can't really run. So he is a pure pocket quarterback, and I think up to this point he's been kind of exposed. He's not that good. I've tried to warn people. He's not that good. All right. So keep him in the pocket. Let's see what happens. I do think Mississippi State lacks in the skill position department. Like we shared last night, they did win, but in the first quarter and a half of the game, Arizona had 4 turnovers. They were giving the football away. So it's not like you saw Mississippi State play unbelievably in this spot. So, yeah. Michael P., my man, welcome to the channel. Look at him. He's got Tiger Stadium in the background. He's stuck in this thing. He's just chilling. Nobody's at the game. What was my Mason Smith grade? Well, if I told you that, you'd have to be a patron. Would you not? Now, no, truth be told, it wasn't his best outing, but this was his first time playing football in over a year. And I'm always going to be sympathetic to someone that took as cheap of a shot as he had in that game. But no, he wasn't at his best. No patented Mason Smith kind of plays that we saw in his true freshman season. But now the good thing is he is healthy. He's got a game under his belt. He did make a few plays in the Mississippi State game from a few years ago. And yeah, I'm really interested to see what he can do next week. I still think he's going to have a game or two where he is just unblockable and he finds a way to help us get it up. So, oh yeah, it is look at that, MDP LSU. So here's what I'm going to do, just for you, MDP _ LSU. I'm going to give you my full report on him, and I'll send you a Discord DM. But Cliff Notes version, it was okay. That overall defensive line performance was not up to standard, though. And that has got to change. It just does. But up to this point, MDP, I will tell you, and on Patreon, I give position grades. Still, I think your position group says everything you need to know about how everyone played. Sometimes one guy can have a really good game and another guy have a bad game, but you're only as good as your position group, right? The defensive line was bad. It was just bad. We were all out of sorts, and this brings into a lot of different questions. What are we doing? The first thing, MDP, that we need to bring up is messaging. Are we a cohesive unit at this point? I will tell you this. I vaguely brought this up in the film study. A few years ago, we played a spring game. It was Brian Kelly's first spring game. And our defensive line started off really well, and then our run fits got all out of sorts. Now, I chalked a lot of that up to us not blitzing or doing anything defensively, which we did in that spring game. So for me to feel like watching that Grambling game was like I was watching that spring game defense performance again, it made me feel like that's what we were doing, right? That we were stale and we were just getting sloppy and we weren't playing together. It was tough. It was tough, man. So yeah. But Michael, remind me, I'll send you the full thing of notes I typed out last night on Mason, because I did watch him, and let's hope we get a bounce back versus Mississippi State, and let's just hope it's just rust. Now, H-Town says, Carter, your boy KJ and Arkansas was struggling with Kent State. Get off the gas, bro, for real. Yeah, and I was pretty direct on my Arkansas channel. I say Arkansas channel. I do a lot of Arkansas videos on the SEC channel. They sucked. I mean, Kent State they might be the worst FBS program. And they struggled. Now, KJ did not. In fact, KJ Jefferson was the highest graded quarterback, according to Pro Football Focus, in all the country this past weekend. He was phenomenal again. Okay. There is no player that carries their team like him. There's nobody. He really has to carry them to victories every single week. And it's crazy. I mean, his best receiver transferred from a school called Texas A&M Commerce, right? B. Wyman says, I hope Miami never comes back. Why? It's bring him back. Bring him the F back. You didn't like Miami football? But like we were saying about the West, nobody's looking great. So Sherry, looking at the West, where do you think we are, Carter? Are we top tier, middle of the road, or lower tier? I guess it's just how you want to interpret the Miami versus Texas A&M game. I still think Texas A&M is really good. I still like their win total and the over 7.5. Obviously, defensively, they were a mess, but they're winning that game. You know, ironically, the way that they lost versus Miami was very similar to how how we lost versus Florida State, right? You're playing a really solid ACC team, and they kind of just pulled away towards the middle of that game. And you never really look back. You made some self-inflicted wounds. It's not as if Texas A&M went to Miami and just played god-awful. They did some good things in that game, right? They just made some boneheaded plays. You know, Ole Miss still looks pretty good to turn it around like they did versus a good Tulane team. They're still pretty solid. Alabama, I mean, look at Texas. Look at the players that Texas really dominated with offensively. It was Quinn Ewers, a 5-star recruit, who I think has been terrible or way overrated before the Alabama game, and I still feel that way. But he was phenomenal. That was one of the quarterback performances of this young season. Their best offensive player was their tight end, who was a 5-star, a top 25-star, the Saunders, whatever his name was. He was good. And Texas has so much talent. They just finally put it together. And yeah, you know, they built on losing the game the way that they lost it last year. They got a bunch of really good coaches, and they got some good portal additions. So, yeah, I still feel, Sherry, that most people are going to say Alabama has the best shot at winning the West. And one thing to keep in mind about this week, too, is nobody in the SEC has really played an SEC game yet. So even though Alabama lost versus Texas, this could just be a one-off for them. Now, I don't feel that way because I still think this team is very flawed. And I also think Tommy Rees did not call that great of a game. Now, that is very unfair for me to say that because I wasn't able to watch the full game. I've only seen the highlights. But I would not have played that game in a spot where I wanted Milroe making all these different reads. I would have just let him run. Roll him out, let him just try and make plays with his legs, and go from there. I was kind of shocked that they didn't go to Tyler Buckner last night. But at this point, I would still lean Alabama being the team of the West with LSU. I would lean that way. But, you know, I'm still bullish. I'm still bullish on LSU. I am. Okay. Aaron, let's go. What's up, Chance? Good to see you. Okay, I got a Twitter DM from someone saying Mississippi State is going to wax our behinds. I really don't think so. No, like I really, really, really don't think so. You can kind of tell leading into the Florida State game. I was very concerned. Am I concerned us playing a true road game? Yes. Yes. A true road game at 11 a.m.? Yes. Yes. That does concern the daylights out of me. But Mississippi State lost so many good players off that team last year. Now, one thing I do like about them is they are a relatively experienced team. All right. So I don't think they're going to go out and lose a game. But I like us in this spot. I really, really, really do. Now, one thing I brought up briefly last night is tomorrow morning, you are going to learn what time the game is going to be played versus Arkansas. At least that's how I understand it. Normally, they have to release that the Monday 2 weeks out. And it's not technically 2 weeks out. It's, 12 days out. There you go, Jay Madison. He's confident. I love it. Big shout out to Danny. She joined the PHL Patreon tonight. Good to see you, Danny. She's kind of always been there, though. Good to see you back, though, Danny girl. I'll show you some love. Dexter, it's a real possibility. Oh, that's a great comment. It's pretty funny. Pretty funny. LD 88. I would take that in a heartbeat. That means LSU is winning. And at this point, a 28-25 result would mean that the offense or defense didn't have just some disastrous day. Okay. Obviously, that game was very bizarre because we just rushed 3 and drop 8. We just did that every single play. And they ran like 90 plays. And we had like 60 because we had a few explosive play tutties. It was weird. It was very, very, very weird. Okay. Let's see. Rain says Jayden is going to shell up again and only throw checkdowns. Man, I don't know about that. Sibley says don't count Bama out. Hey, Rain. Good to see you. Double dose on Sunday nights. Or what I could do is just not do a Sunday night live stream. And let me know what you guys want. Is the film study and the Sunday night live stream a little too much? I kind of want to try out doing a Monday stream right at the end of the Brian Kelly press conference. I'm going to try it out and see how it goes tomorrow. Let's go to Lee Pilcher. Why don't our DBs turn to play the ball anymore? Because, number one, Lee, it's really hard to do it. But DBs at LSU should be able to turn and find the football. And also, welcome to the channel, Lee. I wish I had hair like that. As you can see, I could not find my PHL hat. And I actually got 3 more I'm selling over here. Sold another one recently. I still got a few more here. Actually found these in the back. They're still in the plastic wrapper. So you get these sealed ones. Look at that hair. I mean, I couldn't even. You see, I couldn't even do it. What are you doing? See, I can't even put my. But yeah, you got to turn and play the football, or at least be disruptive. Maybe we should just play press man, bump and run. Play like the good old days. Just pretend we have Jonathan Zenon and Chevis Jackson, and just get in their faces, get in their freaking grills. Maybe we are playing too much quarters. You know, one of the big changes we made in the Ole Miss game was we did become more aggressive in our coverage. Even Brian Kelly mentioned that in the post-game press conference after the Ole Miss game, right? Lee said hats don't fit with all this hair. The problem is I don't have a lot of hair. Hats still barely fit me. I got a chicken nugget on the back of my head that's just infused in my skull. And I didn't tell you all that. When I was little, I fell in a bucket of McDonald's grease, and a chicken nugget just kind of fused in there, man. Just a raw chicken nugget back here. No sweet and sour sauce, Chick-fil-A sauce. There's nothing. It's just there. Yeah, we've not really gotten home all that well, but also H-Town, the quarterbacks that we played up to this point have done a good job of getting the football out quickly. So, you know, if you're getting the ball out that quickly, you know, they've been doing, honestly, a lot of it is just jump balls. Grambling did it. Florida State did it. It's just their receivers running in a straight line, and they're just simply mossing us. I mean, there's just not. It's just not really anything else. You know, are we getting beat on other routes? Yes. Are there a lot of players who just aren't Division I college Power 5 SEC players? There's some of that as well. And some of these guys were before this coaching staff. And they're not up to snuff, right? That's why I'm kind of talking myself into Ashton Stamps a little bit more. I kind of wanted to hold off just a little bit, but at least he turned his head when he got beat, found the ball, and made a really freaking good play on it. Okay. Is it coaching or personnel? Okay, gotcha. I know this is political, but it's both. It's honestly a little bit of both. But, you know, I've known a few great LSU DBs, and this gonna sound like just bad, but up to this point, you know, a guy that's been on the channel before is Ron Brooks, right? So Ron Brooks, obviously, really, really good defensive back on the 2011 team, and he was actually our number 6 DB. He played the dime, right? And he would be the best defensive back in our secondary, like right now. He not in his probably current state because he doesn't play anymore, but him in college would be our best DB. And so that means it is partially personnel. Now, it's not Ron Brooks made the NFL. You know, he's a good player. It's just we are lacking some star potential. So, yeah. Let's talk about checkdowns here. Okay, Stefan at the baseball game. What field is this? Okay. Oh, this is Omaha, is it? Is it not? I'm guessing you're wearing LSU gear, and I see some golden uniforms. So these people, rather Jayden just throw it up in double coverage or just take a sack. JD5 can't do anything without these same people finding something negative. All right, so let's have a conversation here about Jayden Daniels. Obviously took a step forward in the right direction. We have seen this last year, though, where he plays so sharp versus really bad competition. And when he plays a better competition, he tucks and runs. The game speeds up for him. But he's still really good more often than not when he plays a Power 5 team. I'm kind of in the middle on the check down thing, right? So obviously in this last film study, there was a check down he took in the 2-minute drill that I didn't like. And I'm normally fine with check downs. I am. But overall, obviously, he got way more vertical in the scrambling game. And something else, I think Chris Hilton did a lot of good things. There's a reason I put him on the thumbnail. And as many of you know, I am not the bang the table for Chris Hilton guy. I tend to be skeptical of someone who hadn't broken out yet, but in like the first 2 years, but he was also very injured and there was a lot of good players ahead of him. I was also very skeptical. He just didn't really play at all versus Florida State. And I'd been hearing just in camp how he had been tearing people up. So why don't we actually play him? Well, we played him last night and he was pretty good. And I think my favorite rep of his was actually the play that Jayden missed him because he actually had to go up against a press corner and beat him. All right. And if you want to see the rep, you can leave here and go watch it. I won't be offended. It was a really good rep by Chris. He had a really good game. Now, in the next play, his route running kind of broke down a little bit on the dig, and the DB was able to undercut him. But that was after he burnt him. Okay? So Chris was amazing last night. He was really freaking good. And I get it. I would be motivated too. He was in that same class as BTJ, Malik, and Keon Coleman. And he was rated higher than all those guys. I'm sure he's motivated to say, hey, I could play too. And he was very good. And one thing he does bring to this offense is the vertical element. All right. Now, he's not the most physical guy. And you guys know, for me, you know what I say. As a skill position player, I do prefer thick. Like, he's not a thick guy. He's not really a tackle breaker kind of guy. But not everybody has to be that way, right? Devonta Smith is one of the best football players I've ever seen. And he's obviously a toothpick. So, obviously, Chris Hilton's probably not going to be that good. I don't know too many players that are that good. I was really impressed with Chris. Really good game for him. And I'll also say this, like we brought up in the pregame show. I stress for Chris getting his opportunity. I don't think it's like a good thing for a locker room if there is this guy who's apparently killing it in practice, who's been with the team for a while, has done a lot of all these good off the field things with the team. Play him. Let's see if he's actually good. We banged the table for Hilton, and he produced. He produced really good stuff. And one final thing I really love about him is he is not a slot receiver, okay? He is an outside receiver. That is his game. We want him to get to the outside, stretch the defense. Now, I'm sure he can play the slot some. Him exclusively being an outside receiver makes Malik more of a slot guy. And you guys know that is where I love Malik the most. Malik is a slot assassin. He is absolutely ridiculously good there. And he was, prophetic in the slot last night, Malik Nabers, with some of the cuts and decisions he made. And he helped get Chris open on a lot of plays. So those two know each other. They have chemistry, and they're both year 3 guys. So this should be their prime year. And I think Chris played with a lot of energy tonight. I love to see it. I really, really love to see it. Something else I like about Chris Hilton is he is playing his ass off on special teams. Okay. I like guys, and I want to shout out 2 players here, Jackson McGohan and Deshaun Womack. All right. And Jackson Howard, too. These are 3 guys. 2 of them were really highly touted recruits, and they're not playing. They are not playing. All right. And the weird thing about them not playing is they're all playing at positions where we kind of need someone to step up. And they are playing their asses off on special teams. They are not taking reps off. They are really giving it to us. And what was one of the big things we kept saying about some of Polian's struggles last year? We don't have any true freshmen that were giving us really good reps on special teams. We didn't have a whole lot of young guys that we could trust to take some of those special teams reps. And you saw how bad our units were. And then we started playing like older veteran. We had to play Dre on a lot of special teams. And because these guys who were mostly backup, not getting their opportunity to play, they went out there and put together some really good special teams performances yesterday, and they deserve credit for it. And Chris is one of those guys too. Even though he's not a true freshman, he had a really good day on special teams. So I love seeing that. I love seeing it. Yeah, I one thing about Jayden not ever really chunking it deep is it also leads to turnover averse play. Okay. And he was the best turnover worthy quarterback, turnover worthy play percentage quarterback in the country. And we don't want him to be that this year again, because that means he's like last year, not taking as many chances as we want him to. He does need to get more vertical. And here's a good thing. You know who's not with Mississippi State anymore? Emmanuel Forbes, who is freaking so good at football. He's in the NFL now. So yeah, let's go out there and cook them. Malik was fantastic. We were able to get a few vertical shots on them in that game. So yeah. Let's go to Michael B. What's up, Biggie Bull? Good to see you. Speaking of some guys who have played the game. Once again, I'll also say this. I'm not a coach. And more importantly, even if I was, this is one thing I always say about film study analysts. If they don't mention, at least sparingly on videos, that they don't know the play calls, then they're lying to you, right? Or they're deceiving you and not giving you enough information because, if I always say, I don't know the play calls. I don't know how it's taught. So that's why it's very important to keep that in mind, right? Just because I think it should be done this way or you think it should be done this way, it may not be how BK and Dimbrock teach it. So keep that in mind whenever you're always judging a player, right? And I always say this as well. I am fully behind every player that wears a purple and gold. I want everybody to succeed. I want everybody to live their dreams, even if it's not at this school. If you're not happy, go somewhere else. And that's why the portal is a great thing. I truly do believe it. Let's go to Michael B. He says, Malik is the only wide receiver I am 100% sold on. I think a lot of people feel that way too, Michael B. I think BTJ is starting to enter that discussion for me. Yes, 2 games, 2 drops. One a little bit more egregious than the other. The drop yesterday, he more than made up for it, right? I can live with the drop. I just need something in exchange for it, right? We bring up Brandon LaFell and his early drop issues early in his career. I can live with it because I know he is going to make plays to make up for that. Same thing with BTJ. right? And this year, he has made plays to make up for the drops. Can he continue that? Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Kyron had a good bounce back, so let's see how it goes. Living rent free. Maybe that's Florida State's. Maybe Florida State will hang a banner for the Jordan Travis era. We beat LSU twice, and we beat 6-6 Oklahoma in the Cheez-Its Bowl. And that's it. Hang the banner. Hang it. I do think Florida State's really good. I do. And they were number 1 today in the AP poll. As they should be. Or were they number 1? I think I saw that. I don't know. All right, let's go to MDP. My problem with JD5 not throwing mid and deep routes often enough is receivers get frustrated and at times aren't expecting the ball. Okay. You are right. And thank you for our first $20 super chat, and I appreciate it. It is true that it is frustrating if you go out and run a bunch of routes, you're not ever getting the ball. I get it. All right. You come to play wide receiver to catch passes. Yes, it is cool to play special teams and all that. But you are there to catch passes. Here is my issue with the wide receiver frustration thing. I have been very vocal that Jayden does not throw the most catchable ball. All right. It does have a tendency to be behind players, especially on in-breaking routes. What I would also say to that, and I've had quarterback coaches tell me that, one pretty good one, who was an OC for professional teams throughout Europe, and now he's back in the States as an analyst. He doesn't like JD at all. He's like I don't like him. And look, I have that opinion. Obviously, I disagree with that. I think Jaden's a pretty solid quarterback with some flaws, but every quarterback has flaws outside of number 9 who played for LSU and number 2 who played for Auburn and a few others. So yeah, I mean, I get it, Michael P. And I do think because it's not the most catchable ball in the world, the drop percentages for LSU can be a little misleading sometimes. But still, going into this weekend, LSU had the 3rd highest drop percentage in the SEC. Okay. And if you play at LSU, our brand on the offensive side of the football is wide receiver. So you're coming here to be the best wide receiver, to be mentioned amongst the best wide receivers. There are wide receivers at LSU who have been drafted, and they barely played. James Wright got drafted. There is a certain prestige playing wide receiver at LSU, and you still got to catch it. You still got to catch the football, even if it's not right on time in the most perfect spiral in the world. But also on Jayden's end, he's also got to let it rip. He's got to, you've got to let that bad boy go. And yeah, one other thing, Michael P., and this is going to sound a little bit excusey. Obviously, I think Kayshawn, obviously he had a theatrical game. I had Jordan Haddad call me. He was like, "Hey, are you watching this?" I was like, "No, I'm cutting the film study." Apparently, Kayshawn had a game today where, he couldn't get both feet in bounds or something like that. Hope Kayshawn does well. But I do think it was time for Kayshawn to move on. I do miss Jure, though. I do. And Jure was kind of that guy who could make catches on underthrown balls and create some last-second separation, and we're missing him. thought we were going to miss him because I've always thought Dre was very underrated and slept on, if you will. But he's a good player. He's a good player. But that's a good point, though, Michael B. I said Michael B. We got a bunch of Michael B's. Now we got a Michael P. MDP. We do need to get better throwing that. I'm glad you brought that up, Billy B. Arden Key will probably be one of the more underrated LSU players ever here. And he had two things going against him. Number one, he won from Louisiana. And number two, his career ended. It was a weird final year. But, God, he's been a good pro. And he had the big controversial play versus the Saints. I was able to see that. But, yeah. I mean, I'm gushed over him one time. This is your first live stream in months. I've not mentioned Dre in months. Lorraine, I think it's a you thing. I think you have a problem with Dre. I mean, I can give you his number. Y'all can hash it out. I'm going to hash it out. Huh? Telling Jared is an incomplete pass. Yeah, you can ask anyone that tunes in every live stream. It's the first time I mentioned Dre in forever. But I'm a Dre guy. I love Dre. It's why our interview with him was so good. And I don't think it's wrong to mention that Dre was a good player. Forgive me if I'm wrong, if I cheer for a 3-star from a small town in Louisiana who only lived his dreams. Oh, man. I've seen you ask this a few times, Malachi. As a rule of thumb, I don't really talk third-string quarterbacks on other teams. So he would have to obviously play. So I don't know. Is Ty Simpson the starter now? I have no idea. I know, Rain. But look, I told Dre when I met him, he had never heard of me, and I was like, dude, you don't understand. Well, I think he had never heard of him. Either way, I was like, dude, I freaking love you, man. That's why his signature's right here. In theory, Rain, he's always with us. But I'll give him a call. Say, hey, man, one LSU YouTuber was showing you love, but I wasn't going to allow it. What's going on with Greg Brooks? I don't think Greg's necessarily been the issue up to this point. Had a few nice tackles last night. So there you go. You know who else is saying that right now? Nick Saban about his current team. Yeah, Malachi, Ty Simpson's not even playing. Unless you're predicting that he's going to be the starter by then. He could be. Could be. Now, if you missed it, here's a little piece from the film study, just to give you a little taste of you getting the opportunity to watch all the PHL film studies. Let's go. Alrighty, what a freaking first drive right here by Jayden Daniels. This is just really good stuff. He starts off looking to his left, and we're basically running all verts here. And look at Jayden just sit in this pocket and deliver a nice up and down throw to Kyron Lacey. Essentially what you saw in the spring game right there in the seam. Good catch by Kyron. He's able to fall forward for a few extra yards as well. And look at the stripe of the helmet. So he looks left to hold, this deep middle defender, and then just finds that open space right here. God, really freaking good stuff by Jayden. Good catch right there by Kyron. Really well-designed play by Mike Denbrock here. Pitch to the right. His job right here, Malik Nabers blocked the linebacker. BTJ, you blocked this backer. Mason Taylor comes around, and we need Logan Diggs to take care of this deep defender, make him miss. Okay, so the play design is what creates all these yards. Obviously, an offsides flag. Good block right here by Mason Taylor. And we're able to pick up the first down. But last year, we missed BTJ on a lot of deep digs and in-breaking routes. Jayden is looking left, doesn't really like what he sees, and then decides to get vertical here. Look, really good footwork. Did a really good job looking off to his left. Perfect. Can't play the quarterback position any better than this. You've just got to catch that. He had a really good throw to Chris Hilton on the play before this, and they decide to bring an exotic pressure, from the second level. And for some reason, this DB decides to let BTJ go. He thought that this safety was going to stay here for whatever reason. And look, Jayden throws this ball. I know he's wide open, but he is getting absolutely mollywopped while he's delivering that football. And look at where it is placed, okay? Yes, he's wide open, but even if there was coverage, that would have hit BTJ in stride. Good stuff. Yes, Brian freaking Thomas Jr. Titus with the recruiting question. Okay. All right, here's what I say about recruiting. We got to talk about that stuff all off season because it's the only thing really people care about in the off season. So I just don't really keep up with recruiting stuff because players commit before the seasons anyway. So yeah, I don't really know a whole lot about this gentleman at all. I believe he is an athlete though, like a 5-star athlete out of Texas. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I've kind of drawn a blank. I've just been more focused on the guys that are with us right now. But yeah, Titus, if you got any news on that, let me know. Let me know. And that's had some bad drops yesterday, man. Throws to Shelton Sampson are on the money. Once again, I don't really give him too much credit for the first. I mean, he was so wide open. That Shelton has just got to catch that. I think also I said Jayden. Garrett was also like, God, how is he this open on this RPO? Now, here's what we're going to do. I want to shout out our friends at Louisiana Controls. They are the ones that help me get to do what I get to do. Okay? So, right after this, I want to play a little bit of that film study. What I want to show you is one stat or one area where I think LSU is a lot better this year compared to last. PHL Nation, something I have been waiting to share with you for so long is our partnership with Louisiana Controls Incorporated. They are committed to giving you the absolute best when it comes to commercial refrigeration and HVAC needs. Stick with the professionals that have been doing this for over 40 years, and you know this Louisiana weather can get absolutely insane. So call them today, 225-924-4900. Let's go. Louisiana Control, shout out to TJ and the whole crew. Commercial HVAC needs. Call them today. Got a Jayden versus Nuts debate going on. Now, here's what you're going to do. This Sunday, we do the film study, and this live stream won't go as long. We're also going to experiment going live right after the Brian Kelly press conference tomorrow. I'm going to answer as many questions as I possibly can in the next 5 to 10 minutes. If you do Super Chat, we'll keep it going. If not, we'll end it then, and I'll get to go watch some NFL highlights. I've been dying to see what happened to Joe Burrow today. I talked to my dad about it, and he watches like every NFL snap possible. And he said Myles Garrett was just dominating. Myles Garrett's good, man. He's one of those guys that don't really play like the Browns. I know there's not really a lot of Louisiana Browns fans. He played at Texas A&M, but you just go, damn, he's good. It was weird. Like him and Leonard Fournette were so much higher rated recruits than everybody else in that class, and then eventually we're like, yeah, they got that right. They got that right. Any more news on Mason Taylor? I really hope it's not one of those high ankle sprains that seem to linger all season long. He was coming to his own and becoming a really good tight end. You're right. He is a very good player. He just is. I mean, he's not like spectacular, but he is very, very good, especially for a young tight end. And tomorrow, I think Brian Kelly will have an update, and we'll have an update before he even hits the press conference. He releases his injury reports, right? So I would guess tomorrow he's going to be questionable for the game. And that kind of sucks because we know Mississippi State likes to get exotic on defense. But one thing, Michael B., I will bring up here, all right, because I know a lot of you have brought up play calling creativity. All right. Mike Denbrock obviously is a tight ends coach. And if you are an offensive coordinator, you're a tight ends coach. Well, number one, most offenses have a tight end on the field at all times. Most offenses operate out of 11 personnel, which means one running back and one tight end. One thing I would not do versus Mississippi State is force a tight end to play in a game that they are not ready to play in. Okay. I kind of feel I kind of feel like for me, I want to see more 10 personnel. I kind of want to see what it looks like. What does 10 personnel look like? I mean, on short yardage plays, we rotate our wide receivers into block quite a bit. Let's see what 4 wide receiver sets look like. True 4 wide receiver sets. Pressure, it's good. I hate that, dude. It drives me crazy. Brought it up on the film study earlier. Drives me insane. I know it worked this time, but it's one of those things where General Big Red, all one word. Or unless you go by Gene Rao Big Red. Unless your name is Gene Rao Brigade. Rao Big Red. That could be your name. It's all just one word here in italics. What do you think the score will be against Mississippi State? So, I don't know. I'm not a good predictive analysis kind of person. I'm not Bill Connolly or Parker at Stats of War. I'm not a Vegas odds maker. So they get all those pace of play numbers and they spit it into a computer and they normally get it right. But I think we win next week. I really do feel that way. Wow, the Cowboys are doing what to the Giants? Holy hell. I saw that blocked field goal for a touchdown. Dear Lord. That is wild, bro. I even started Tony Pollard this week. Sibley wants to keep the live stream going. And who am I to say no? Who am I to say no to such a thing? So Sibley wanted to super chat exactly $20 because the super chat for $20 is the same color as the Texas Longhorns. You see a darker orange, but the orange underneath it in Sibley super chat is a burnt orange. Now, if you don't know who Dr. John Sibley Butler is, he's obviously a big part of what LSU looks like today. And he currently resides in Austin and works with Texas. Okay. Very emotional game. And Sibley, it did not shock me that you were sitting where you were sitting. And I know it felt good winning that game. And you are probably still on cloud nine. I get it. And guess what? We are too. I was cheering against Alabama. I love to see Alabama go down. What is their offensive strategy and what is their best player room? Okay. I've said it plenty of times. I've never really thought Will Rogers was all that great. I would say offensively, their offensive line is their best player room because they're experienced, but they're blocking in an entirely new system. They're trying to run the football more with Jaquavius Marks, who's had good games against us. But, man, they're a little bit more run-based. You know, you would never have guessed Mississippi State running back having more than 20 carries. One did versus Arizona. Defensively, their linebacker, Jet Johnson's a really good player, number 44, really good player. But they lost Emmanuel Forbes, and Emmanuel Forbes is such a big piece to what they do. I think they also lost Tyrus Wheat. He was just a really good player. One thing simply I think, and this does help the Lance Hurd argument, in the 2-minute drill, one thing Mississippi State did versus us in Emory Jones's first game is they really attacked his inside gap, the B gap, with a bunch of different things. And Grambling tried to do that versus Lance Hurd, and Lance just ate it up, right? Because Emory is such a good guard, he can help him with a player like that. And Mississippi State did a good job, creating some pressure that way versus us last year. I think the biggest thing, though, Sibley, is the coaching, right? This has obviously not been, the smoothest start for Brian Kelly. But Zach Arnett, Mississippi State started sluggish in their first game versus a not-so-great opponent. And when I tell you the Arizona game was wild, it was wild. Arizona's best receiver broke a tackle, and he was running into the end zone for a touchdown, and he barely stepped out of bounds. And that would have given them the lead and more than likely the win. So, yeah, Sibley, I'm not dug too deep into their roster, but there was not a receiver on their team outside of one who had more than a catch last night. So, yeah, I also think this could be a Perk game. I really do think so. Perk dominated this game last year, and this is a quarterback who has no speed whatsoever. I don't know Sibley's he loves PHO more than anybody. He's probably like, dang, he probably never would have thought Texas would be getting all these congratulations. There you go, man. You make the trip to Tuscaloosa. That's still crazy. The Giants getting beat that bad. I saw the very first drive when I was eating dinner. I was like, dang, the Giants look good. They're moving the football up and down the field. And then they had the blocked field goal return for a tutty. As we can attest, if you give up a blocked field goal return for a tutty, you're probably about to get blown out. You're probably about to get blown out. Pooh Bear, good to see you. I will not chat about the Mel Tucker thing. I've not been able to really read anything. It's bizarre, though. All right. And this won't be a Mel Tucker chat. I've been watching football film all day, but it obviously is very serious in nature. And I hope Michigan State does everything that they need to do to make the right decisions here. But it's just reading the bare bones of it. It's wild. Absolutely wild. And a chance, you being a former journalist, I know those kinds of things interest you, and I love sports media too. I mean, I love, reading really good reporting, even if it is serious, right? Because, that's obviously very, very, very serious. Oh, did you lose sound? Type Y for yes, type in for no if you lost sound. Pooh Bear's like, wait, what happened? Okay, your sound's good. J-Red. I'm also not an HR director. Oh, that's crazy. LSU quarterbacks to throw 5 touchdowns and a half. Jayden Daniels, 5 on Saturday night. Joe Burrow, 5 versus Georgia Southern, and 7 versus Oklahoma. That's crazy. That's freaking crazy. Oh, Tua went off today. Y'all didn't tell me Tua went off. William, what's good, brother? Let's go to John. We were ranked 2 spots behind Bama in week 1. Now we are 4 spots behind. Bama loses at home to number 10. And now number 4, we lose away to number 7. Now number 3. Okay. It's stupid. There's no way. Yeah, there really is just no way. Right? Maybe the polls would say, well, Alabama didn't get blown out as bad as LSU got blown out in the second half. And that's true. It is strange, though. It is strange. Next thing I would bring up about that, John, is obviously it doesn't matter. It's just polls. But AP poll voters, if they will oftentimes just pick the bigger brain if it's down between this school and that school. And they would also lean towards who do I just think is better. And I think they would say Alabama is better than LSU at this point. But honestly, the truth is the first rankings every year should not come out until the college football playoff. I would love a college football world where the AP poll had no effect. There was no AP poll. Eradicate it, abolish it, get rid of it. And the first rankings were just the college football playoff rankings. But I know John knows that it doesn't really matter, but it is hypocrisy, right? You wouldn't think that. And yes, LSU got blown out, but it wasn't like the Tennessee blowout where we were beaten all 4 quarters of the game soundly. Hey, we were in it. We were in it. So there you go. Now we'll do it again. Next 5 to 10 minutes. We'll keep it going. Let's see. How far away are we from giving out another Jayden card tonight? About 50 away, giving out a Jayden Daniels card right here. So let's keep it moving. Carter, could you do a film study? What's up, Phil? On time from snap to pads release. I don't know what pads release means. Let's see here. Go. There you go. Don't forget, if you want to see the Eric Nussmeier film study, along with the Caleb Jackson one, it's right there. Get you into the Patreon. It's likely. I won't say likely, but within the realm of possibility. Once again, on October 14th, CBS gets to pick 2 day games. They get an 11 a.m. day game and a 2:30 game day game. Okay. So they get a noon SEC on CBS, and they get a 3:30 SEC on CBS, and that's Eastern. And with the way Auburn's looking, they look to be pretty good. Not great, but Auburn's going to be decent enough that I think we're going to be in the first tier of games. So be ready for it. Sorry, fat fingers. I got those too. Time from snap to pass release from JD5 and Nuss. Yeah, Phil, I think if you had a larger sample, that could give you something. I think it's a little bit harder to compare the two of them because one is an infinitely better runner than the other, and Garrett does not run or scramble at all. Obviously, Jayden should get rid of the football faster, and there have been times where Garrett probably should have taken off and just run. So yeah, Garrett's numbers are going to be way shorter in my estimation, especially considering, some of the things he did in the Southern game, trying to extend plays that weren't there. He has played quicker. So yeah, I would guess up to this point, and there probably is data on that out there. I'm going to look it up. I guess up to this point, you could venture off to say that that Garrett's is going to be faster than Jayden's. All right, let's do this. So tomorrow we will know. This is how they normally do it. Tomorrow we will know what time the Arkansas game will be. Do you believe it's going to be 11 a.m.? Do you believe it's going to be 2:30? Or do you believe it's going to be a 9 game? Let me know in the chat right now. Type 11, type 2, or type in for 9 game, which would, in theory, be 6 or 6:30. That's crazy. So one of my buddies, who is an LSU tennis player, has won Wimbledon, I think 3 times now as a doubles player. Neil Skupski, great dude. 11 a.m. Of course, Al. Pressure thinks 2:30. 11. Night. What's up, Scooby? Thanks for all your support, PHL. I appreciate it. I don't know about Mississippi State. Their crowd is always lit. And Arkansas's at home, so there you go. He didn't get a lot, and most of it was just runs. So there you go. Now, I am done here. We will be live after the Brian Kelly press conference tomorrow. We're going to give that a shot, see if you like it or not. But now I'm going to go pass out. Film study day is going to be absolutely crazy. I don't know if I can even do a live stream after film study day anymore. My body just kind of shut down here at the end. But I want to shout out all our super chatters. Okay. Devin, Lee, Michael P, aka MDP, and Sibley were our top 2 super chatters tonight. I really do appreciate it. And now it is time to get ready, get our mind right for an 11 a.m. kick versus Mississippi State on Saturday. I'll be chatting in the Discord right now. Okay. If you want to see the Garrett Nussmeier film study and the Caleb Jackson film study that is not released to the public, it is on Patreon. Click that link. Join our Patreon. Join our Discord where we have a gazillion members. Okay. And for $9.99 a month, you get my game grades, you get my extra film studies, my scouting reports, all those different things. It's all there for you. Yeah. Yes. Power Hour. LSU. Boom. And tonight, we're doing ribs. Night 2. Let's freaking